Welcome to the Burnt or Buttered Podcast. I'm Toast.
And I'm Stetson. And today we have a movie that when we saw this trailer over and over again, Toast and I both thought it was going to be the most ridiculous thing we've ever seen.
Yeah. And before we get into it, I just want to briefly touch upon a very important and sensitive subject. Today we're going to be talking about a single father just trying to make his way in the world. You can tell that he's not a cop because of how big his hands are. This is no cop. This is a working man.
Exactly. Once you take a grip of those mitts, you're going to know that this man works for a living, that he's out there doing the things that nobody else wants to do. The dirty jobs, if you will.
And you might ask him, are you a politician? Are you a doctor? Are you a cop? And he'll just say, no, I'm a working man.
And with that introduction, we are talking about The
Working Man.
Jason Statham's new film that he partnered up with Sylvester Stallone and was it what's his studio's name? Like Balboa Studios to make this film.
Rocky Balboa.
And you can definitely see Sylvester Stallone all over this thing.
Oh yeah. I don't. If you've watched any of the most recent Rambo movies, you'll catch a very, very familiar feeling in this one.
So this movie starts with Jason Statham just being a foreman at a huge construction site for a construction company. The daughter of the owner of this construction company is working at the site, sees Jason Statham be a little bit of a badass, and is like, just a side comment, hey, will you have my back if ever I need it?
And you bet your bottom dollar he has your back.
So we get a construction worker owner's daughter kidnapped, and then he goes to Jason Statham, who has a shady past, or not so much shady, a military past, a contracting work and things that he's left that life behind.
Well, he's not that kind of guy anymore.
To bribe him to get his daughter back.
Yeah. So you have Michael Pena as the dad of the kidnapped daughter, and he is pretty whimpery, I would say. Wimpish. His character didn't really hit with me, but also I've never had a daughter be kidnapped, so maybe I would be wimpish as well.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't seem like a crazy badass construction owner boss.
He does seem odd for a construction company owner. He's wearing suits all the time, like not just normal suits, but like flashy suits.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he's inherited the company. But Jason Statham then goes on his epic journey to discover who was it that kidnapped this girl, why they kidnapped this girl, where they are, and to get her back.
Yeah, an important thing to know is while he may not be a cop or a doctor or a lawyer, what he does have is a particular set of skills. And he is going to use those skills to find this daughter figure and to eliminate every person who gets in his way.
And bring her home.
Because she's been taken.
All right, let's jump into Behind the Butter and see what we thought about this one. Again, just so you know, there will be tons and tons of spoilers in the Behind the Butter. We're talking about every aspect of this film, what we liked, what we didn't like, and what was super funny, what wasn't funny. And yeah, so if you don't want to know everything about this film from our perspective, skip ahead to the final pop, where we will just give you our final rating on if you should see this film or not and what we really thought about it.
Well, right off the bat, one of the first things that I want to talk about are the wardrobes. As I've already mentioned, Michael Pena is always wearing these flashy suits. His wife has these big old glasses that make her look... At first, I wasn't sure what time period this movie was set in because it felt like 80s based on the wardrobe. But then I saw a Cybertruck in one of the scenes, and I thought, time travel.
Yeah, it's weird. It's fun because of the wardrobes and because they're all very, very eccentric characters. Like, besides the working man, everyone else has something really interesting about them. Like, he has a blind friend that's married to a Native American woman and like lives in the woods.
And this blind friend is one of his military friends who still will shoot a crossbow without being able to see what's there.
Yeah. Has a sixth sense that doesn't even know that he's blind or acts like he's not blind.
Yeah.
And then you have these villains and mob bosses and people in them that are all very, very eccentric in everything that they do. You know, they just have a way about them, which brings a light and like a funness to this film that was really, really unexpected for sure.
Yeah. You know, you think of a Taken type movie and you think, well, sex trafficking can't be fun. Working Man shows that you can still tell a sex trafficking story and have it be fun.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of this movie that really worked. I did think that, like you said, what's his name?
Michael Pena.
Michael Pena's character was way, way, way too soft. Like, if you own a construction company, you have to be hard a little bit. Like, you have to be able to, like, fight with your workers. You have to be able to contend and, like, deal with all the felons that work on your site, because that's the majority of people in construction.
Well, and they're always going to be back talking you know, like...
Yeah, like, you have to have a backbone in some way. Like, you would think that the dad would want to be with him to try and get his daughter back, you know? But, I mean, I guess he just understood his skills, and his skills were business, and they weren't in the skills of killing people like that.
I guess not, yeah. You brought up his blind friend, who's played by David Harbour, which... he had a really small part. I expect him to have a bigger part for bringing in somewhat of a, not a big name, but a relevant name.
I did think that he played the part perfectly, though. I thought that he was, like, a really good casting for him for as small a part that he was. He like, obviously makes you endearing, like endeared towards him, like, immediately, you know, just because of the type of guy that he is. And, like, it makes sense that it would be that guy, you know, that guy that, you know, just so hardcore that when he goes blind, he just
keeps living.
He just doesn't act like he's blind. I liked his character a lot.
Yeah, and the fact that they gave him such a small part kind of leads me to believe that maybe they'll do a second one of these and he'll play a bigger part, you know. Oh,
he'll start helping him.
Because they left some open threads, you know. The one guy whose kids that Jason Statham killed, they were adult kids. They were probably Russian mob or something like that.
Yeah, they still act like children though, which is a funny part of this movie. Like, the first time you're introduced to these brothers, they get out of the vehicle and you're just like, you automatically just start laughing a little bit because they have these jogging suits that are really,
like Gucci jogging suits, like, that are like so flashy,
blue and red. They have opposite, or like,
and they got the matching bucket hats.
Yeah, they're just so weirdly fashioned that you think, but it kind of works for them at the same time. You're like, oh, that does make sense. But there were so many moments like that where people were acting so weird, but it made so much sense at the same time.
Yeah, I feel like there was a really slow descent into just the absurdity of this movie. You know, it didn't rush into Russian. It didn't rush into making you feel like this isn't a real world, you know. It slowly eased you into the ridiculousness of it, and the ridiculousness of it was mostly just the characters, you know. you had the motorcycle guys wearing like samurai outfits and bull horns and stuff, and you had those two numbskulls dressed like the dance troupe from The Gentleman, and every villain either looked like super flashy and weird, or they just gave off vampire vibes.
Yeah, vampire or penguin from the original Batman. There definitely felt like original Batman vibes, like, and it's like Batman and Robin, like Mr. Freeze, you know, like the Jim Carrey Riddler, you know, like it felt like we lived in a universe where those type of eccentric people lived, which was really fun. I did enjoy the fact that the action part of this movie felt fairly realistic in the way that everything seemed honestly something that one guy that was really, really skilled and trained could possibly do. You know, like
if nobody else in the room was trained at all. Yes.
But it just, there wasn't any outrageous moments, you know, that you were looking at it as almost like a John Wick type of feeling where it's just like, okay, you're going against 1,000 guys that are trained killers and
have body armor.
Yeah. And somehow you're working your way through all these people
with one pistol.
Like it all felt like it lived in the realm of possibility from like someone that could plan and have a strategic like idea of what to do, like from spot to spot. And I did like that side of it too, that you could see that Jason Statham was spending a lot of time just planning and strategizing on what to do in each moment.
And he was good at improvising, because the plan doesn't always go according to plan.
One part of this film too that was a refreshing look was the girl that gets taken. She is a very capable person herself and uses like her capable skills and being smart and using ingenuity to try and free herself this entire movie, you know, as far as finding the rusty nail and like getting her hands free and like biting the guy's freaking cheek off that was trying to have sex with her. Like she always did everything she could to protect herself at the same time and never just gave up into the situation that she was in.
Yeah. She wasn't the typical damsel in distress. She was, you know, this is exactly what Snow White wants to be.
And with this too, like it did live in the realm of like reality that this is a 19, 20-year-old girl that that has no training and isn't super strong and like, you know, isn't going to be able to overpower two people or like way bigger men than her. Like she just was using like the skills and the capabilities that she had, which was just natural. And like with that, like it was almost good enough. She almost got away. Yeah,
which impressive. She would have got away if it hadn't been for crooked cops, you know.
Seriously, Russians, crooked cops. What are we gonna do?
You got everything you need for an action film.
My one gripe from this movie, and I guess there's a few of them that there could be, but my one gripe from this movie is the Russian dad at the end sits there, watches all of these people die on the outside of this building, and even watches Jason Statham and the girl come out of the building, get on the motorcycle and go away, and he doesn't do a single thing. How's that guy not have a gun on him? How's that guy not have any sort of way to try and get retribution for his sons? Like, he just is relying on everybody else. Like, what type of mob boss are you? Like, did you not have to like grow up in the way of like doing something for yourself, like ever?
Hey, same thing with the dad of the daughter, you know.
That's true, but he's not a mob boss. Like, he's not supposed.
But he's a boss.
He's not commanding people to do his dirty deeds. You know, like, you have to have some sort of authority to command like people to go and murder people for you. Like, you have to have like the ability that person can't just like murder you and there's no consequences to it. You know, I'm willing to do my own stuff, but I don't have the time, and like I don't have, you know, like I'm doing more important things, so that's why you go and kill the people, or I would do it. That's the idea of being a boss, you know.
Well, and also like he's connected to a brotherhood or something, you know, that where I cannot imagine, and maybe I don't know enough about Russian mobs, but I cannot imagine a Russian mob letting one guy kill, like, what, 50 of their men? And then you're just like, it's too expensive to track him down. He can go.
Well, I think it would. I mean, I actually kind of like that part of it because it came down to the rationalization of this guy's not worth losing anything more. You know, like, he has what he wants. He's not going to bother us anymore. Maybe. So, like, if he's not going to bother us anymore, it's not worth us bothering him because obviously he's a crazy, capable person that has destroyed, like, this whole Fabrian bloodline.
But why would you think that this capable person would just stop?
Because he was only looking for one thing, the girl.
That's what he said. But you start looking for one girl, and then you realize, oh, there's hundreds of thousands of girls also involved in this.
But he also took care of the problem of the guys that were handling the girls.
One subset.
Because the Russians, like, they were really upset. That's why the dad, when he was, like, interrogating the dad, he's like, oh, Dmitri, like, you brought this to my house. Like, what are you doing? Like, I can't believe this. And then, so, like, he knew that the Russian mob wasn't into the trafficking of girls.
Yes, that's a good point.
You know, it was just Dmitri that was handling this side of the business that no one, like, really wanted to do or wanted to, like, hear about. Because Demi was trying to, like, establish his own respect. You know, he's like, oh, I can make all this money by trafficking these women, and, like, if I bring in all this money, then I'll get my own. I'll have my own respect, like, with the mob.
Yeah, that's a good point. I had forgotten that the mob wasn't involved with it. Because if they were involved in it and he just took away that revenue stream, there's no way they're letting him go.
No, they didn't care. They're just like, oh, he took care of Demi, which was also a problem for us.
Right.
And he took care of all these things. Like, why don't we just let this guy go? Like, it seems like our business is actually running better now.
We caught the leak. We caught it.
And so I like that aspect of it because, you know, the dad wanted retribution, but the mob was like, if you go after this guy, we're just going to kill you because now you become a liability.
You become Demi.
Yeah.
Demi. Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. Like you said, I can't see him standing there without a gun. And he had like 30 seconds where Jason Statham didn't know he was there. Pop him in the back, man.
Do something. Like, it would have been a cool thing. He carried a cane with him all the time. So just, like, literally pull the cane up, have a one shot, just a little popper.
Why have that cane? Like, you're holding it. The dude was not walking with this cane most of the movie. Why have the cane if it's not a weapon?
Like, show up in the building, pull that cane out, turns into a sword. You have a little standoff for Jason Statham.
Yeah, or you go up and to shake his hand, and it's a little shank, you know? Like,
you shake his hand.
Hey, you killed my sons. Good job, buddy.
You're like, oh, that was super impressive.
Do something, Dad.
Seriously, what a little baby. You know, like, and then he calls for permission, like, right after that. If you want to get something done and you're a Russian mob boss, just go and do it.
Dude, you got guys. Yeah. What do you need their guys for?
Ask for permission. Ask for forgiveness, not permission. Yeah. Come on. This guy doesn't know what he's doing.
This guy became a mob boss by following the rules? You kidding me?
Apparently.
Forget about it.
Apparently he has a strong code that he just wants to sit by. I don't know.
I never get my hands dirty.
Yeah, I don't even make my own cereal. Sweet. Well, should we jump into the final pop?
Let's pop it. I got this one right at about a 3. You know, for me, a 3 is where every movie starts, and it can go up or down, up or down. This one went up and down a few times and just leveled out right at 3. It was really fun, but for me, it was nothing groundbreaking. For me, it felt like a classic action movie, which I feel like we haven't really got that in a while. And so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'll have to agree with you. I think this one is a solid 3. I think some people are going to like it a lot more. Some people are going to like it a lot less. I went into this movie expecting to not like this movie. And, like, about 3/4 of the way through, I was like, fine. I'll admit it. This thing is kind of good. And then it just kept like winning me over and over. Like there's the henchmen in this were super fun and original. They were, just falling into like themselves and making stupid decisions that were interesting. I thought as far as an action film goes, this was super fun. It's one that you could sit down on a Saturday afternoon, have nothing else to do, and watch it, and just be like, "Oh, I'm glad that I watched that." As far as going into the theaters to see it, I would say if you have any desire to see it, you definitely should see it because you'll like it. And if you don't, wait till this streams and definitely give it a chance.
Yeah, I would totally agree. If you're into action movies at all, I think it's one that you would like to see in the theater. And if you like action movies, you would like watching it at home too.
All right. Well, let us know what you thought of this one. If you didn't see this one, tell us why you didn't see it. If you did see it, tell us why you saw it. If you agreed with us, let us know. Let us know in the comments exactly what you're thinking. And be sure to subscribe to our channel. Like, we are super excited about this podcast and what we're doing, and we're excited to keep doing it for you. But subscribing to us just gives us that little bit of dopamine that makes us feel like we're doing something that matters.
And I just want to give a huge shout out to our 12 subscribers on YouTube.
14.
Woo! It's a small number right now, but the growth feels very exciting. Stetson and I both have been really excited about seeing those numbers come in and seeing the interactions and whatnot. So more interactions, the better. Bring it on. Tell us how dumb we are. We love it.
We'll see you in the next one.